Hello, all. So I just thought I'd respond to a question asked by Joanna directly. I know you guys are probably missing my Trumpian rants, but so I thought I'd give you a little taste of that since it's been a while. So Joanna's question is, she says she sees on TV that Trump is saying he has absolute power, he can do what he wants. And she was just tying that back to stuff we talked about in class and asking, does he actually have absolute power? Um, so the question is a good one. The answer is complicated. So I'll start with just yes and no. Um, so yes, in that, and this goes back to something I said before, specifically a concept. I explained this concept of beware the Reichstag fire, right? And what I meant by that is, in Nazi Germany, when the Nazis started off, they used a crisis, which was the burning down of the parliament, in order to seize power and pass a whole bunch of draconian rules and laws, right? The first of which was to ban all other political parties and make Adolf Hitler supreme leader. So they can't quite go that far. However, because the president is the chief officer or the supreme commander of the army, they have wide powers, wide swathing powers when it comes to defense. You could interpret defense from a disease as defense. So, as it pertains to defense, actually, Trump does have a lot of power. And given the unprecedented nature of what's going on right now, he could, and he has been already, exploiting that type of power in order to just do what he wants, right? Which in this case is actually denying certain states medical equipment and different things like this. So, in that respect, yes, right? During World War II, FDR had war powers. He could order, manufacturers like Ford and Chrysler and all these different companies to make things for war. And right now, companies are being ordered to make things like ventilators and things like that. It's a good thing. However, this is the sort of thing that I warned you guys about in a lot of ways, right? Is exploiting a crisis, right? When the democratic institutions themselves are threatened, a crisis like this can be used to take away democratic power, right? Even in Canada, right? The original version of the emergency relief bill from a couple weeks ago gave the Liberal Party like huge powers that were taken at the last minute, and they took that part out. But I don't think, in my opinion, Trudeau or someone like that actually, wants that power. It was more of a break glass in case of emergency type thing. However, it doesn't set a good precedent, so I'm also glad it didn't happen from a democratic perspective, right? Now, I said yes and no. No, because obviously there are constitutional limits on the power of the president. There are some domestic matters in which he does not have the power. In many ways, in effect, regardless of what he says, he, just hasn't been acting. Regardless of, whether he says he has absolute power, right? When it comes to aid for states, he's been picking fights with Democratic governors, people who aren't in his party, saying, well, you've got to figure out your own medical supplies. It's not up to the federal government to do that. And actually, in the mandate letter for FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, they deal with natural disasters and things of the sort that's going on right now. It actually says, until they edited it last week on the website after Trump said out loud that it didn't, it actually says that their mandate is to get much needed emergency supplies to states when there is an emergency like this, right? So Trump has continued as normal. And, as I always say, he doesn't know anything about anything, and it's actually costing people their lives now on an everyday basis. It's very sad. So as to him bragging about it, he doesn't have the sort of power that he thinks he does. He doesn't understand why he has the power that he thinks he does, I think, right? I think he's going a little bit too far in terms of that, in my estimation. But in many practical ways, in terms of, it depends on how you actually, package The response, in terms of what it applies to, if you term this a form of defense, the president has huge powers when it comes to defense, huge powers. And, shutting down the country, all things like that, protection, national security, it's damn near absolute power during that 4 years. There's very little that can curb the power of a president, unfortunately. Congress can try, but as we all know, with the impeachment situation, that doesn't go very far. So yeah, that's the unfortunate truth. Hope that answered the question, Joanna.